Mm-hmm.
Is 4 enough in each category? Should we amend it to more or less? Is 4, 5?
I like 4. I mean, top 5 is a nice number, but
It's
I
not
like
Mount
us
Rushmore.
calling it Mount Rushmore. Correct.
Fun little game for you, Austin. We're going to do baseball on the back end of this, but I would like for us to have a little fun because we have well, don't settle down now. Have I ever led you astray before besides convincing you that you need to be part of the podcast?
I would like to not comment.
I plead the fifth. It is fair because there's probably a few people who could say, yes, you have led me astray before. So with that in mind, what we're going to be introducing here, and just full transparency, Austin has very little information other than what he needed to know just to not look dumbfounded on the screen for those of you that are watching live. When we need topics to talk about, such as during the summer, which we've done a good job thus far, we're going to have some fun with this ongoing series that we're going to discuss and kind of plan right in front of you guys. So if, as you're watching and listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts about it, any suggestions that you'd have, how you'd like to see it flow or anything like that. And we're not going to do this on a regular basis. We're just going to do this as needed, but it's something we'll keep coming back to. So that's another reason for you just to stay tuned. So without further ado, the new series that we're going to be having here on the Auburn Experience is finally discussing the Mount Rushmore of Auburn series. And now you may say, Kyle, how are you going to have a Mount Rushmore series? It's 4 faces, right? I had that number right, correct?
That's correct. 4.
Thank you.
Yep.
You have those moments where you're just like, you say something like, you know, the answer is right or what you just said is correct, but then you're just like, no one's giving me feedback because there's no audience here, no physical audience. So I'm like, I hope I said that right and don't look dumb. Mount Rushmore, 4 names, but we're going to do much more than that. We're going to keep coming back and do different categories. So what do I mean by that? We're going to do sports. We're going to do maybe non-sports stuff. Break it down within each sport or, men's and women's Mount Rushmores. The goal of this is to fully look at not just the easy answers of Mount Rushmore is this, that, of Auburn, because there are some really easy answers out there. People go to sports a lot.
Sure.
But hopefully what this does is let us workshop and finally come to the conclusion when we say the Mount Rushmore of Auburn, what is that truly in our viewers and listeners' eyes and our opinions, obviously. So your initial reactions, Austin, to this series / game we'll be playing in a not so regular fashion?
I think it'll be good. I think it, like you said, everybody talks about Mount Rushmore of Auburn football, or everyone talks about Mount Rushmore of Auburn athletics. And so I think that those will be our easier ones, but I think we can definitely get into some differing opinions maybe on some things. I was thinking of one, and really, Mount Rushmore, we talk about that because it's, the 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore in the U.S. But really it's the top 4, right? Like when we say that, we're saying who are the top 4 of Auburn football? Who are the top 4 coaches in Auburn athletics? And so one I think, though, would be really interesting for us to discuss is the Mount Rushmore or top 4 buildings on campus at Auburn University. What do you think about that one? I like that one.
For those of you that can't see, you're listening on audio. I'm bowing at the feet of Austin right now. See, this is why we did this without much planning, because this is what happens, right? I didn't even think of that. That's amazing.
So many people will have differing opinions on that because let's take you, for example. We've talked about Funchess, right?
Oh, Fungus Hall. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that means a lot to you.
Yes.
I set foot in it maybe twice. And so it might make yours, and it might not make someone else's, but something else that you've never sat in for an extended amount of time might make theirs. So I think that we need to do buildings on campus because
that's a good one.
I think Stanford will make a lot of people's. Maybe Haley Center will make a lot of people's.
I think Haley Center will not make a lot of people simply because they're still lost in Haley Center. Let's be honest.
That's a good one. I like that. So I thought of that. But I like the idea of kind of taking it away from athletics too, and trying to think of who are the top 4 celebrities maybe that we have been spotted using Auburn apparel for their own fashion. This could be good. We could go a long way with this.
Real quick, who are two celebrities that you can think of that immediately have worn Auburn stuff, whether they're fans or not?
Leonardo DiCaprio for sure.
Do you know the second one?
I'm trying to think back to all my years of liking Clint Richardson's posts, and no. It's like in my head. I can see a T-shirt. Go ahead.
Yep. It's from How I Met Your Mother, and I forget his name, unfortunately. But it's
Neil Patrick Harris.
Not Neil Patrick Harris.
No.
The tall guy who's also in. He's in several things. He's in the Muppets. Of course, I would know that. The one of the newer movies. But Jason, I think, is his last.
Yes.
Jason. Yeah. You know, and the fans are screaming at us now. Marshall is the character. Thank you. Someone in the chat that we did see but wrote that down as the character name. Anyway, so that's another one too. So obviously we're going to do some of those, but we're going to do the ones obviously that you all want us to do. We are going to do a football one. We are going to do a basketball one. We're going to do a baseball one. We will probably then break it further and do like just coaches in general or something like that. Auburn administration figures. Like, when I say this is going to be an ongoing series, this is going to be an ongoing series because these are topics that I think everybody can have fun with and throw out wild things that maybe we are not even aware of. And you can probably have some pretty good debates on it. I would imagine the football one is probably going to be the biggest debate because of you got to include coaches, you got to include some Heisman candidates and things like that. So I know people are looking forward to that one the most of all.
Yeah. Of well, I think there might be a general consensus on a couple, right? But there can be some spots that are open. So that'll be interesting. I'm excited about that.
Which brings me to a question for you since we're workshopping this. Mm-hmm. Is 4 enough in each category? Should we amend it to more or less? Is 4, 5?
I like 4. I think if we do more, I feel like we're taking a little cheapy way of making it easier.
Okay.
And then I don't love. I mean, top 5 is a nice number, but
it's not
like
Mount Rushmore.
Calling it Mount Rushmore, correct? And even though we might do the Mount Rushmore of buildings, and buildings aren't carved into the side of a mountain in one of the Dakotas. I can never remember which one.
I'm already picturing it, Austin. My thumbnail for that week. My thumbnail for that week is going to be Mount Rushmore with cutouts of like Haley Center on Washington and
yes, absolutely.
That's what I love that idea. Best places to eat, Mount Rushmore of chicken places in Auburn. It all comes back to chicken on E2C Network.
Always. Places to eat though is a great one. That Auburn food establishments. I'm for that. We could even do Auburn streets, Auburn roads.
Now you're just getting crazy now.
We will get crazy.
So with that in mind, obviously, we hope that you guys are going to stay engaged with that and like that particular kind of off the beaten path topic. It's not going to be the only thing that's not particularly news directed that we're going to discuss. Some of those things are going to come up and something I just want to talk about this today, but it's something that we're going to, I think, do going forward. So what I think would be a good starting point for all this, Austin, is see how things might change. So very quickly, with our limited time left in this segment, I'd love for you to give your Mount Rushmore of Auburn. People, entities, since you brought up buildings, apparently. Concepts, your Mount Rushmore of Auburn, what is it? Just as quick as you can, because we got to get both of ours in here and just see how it changes over time.
Okay, when you present that to me, I think of the things that I think of Auburn initially. So I think of so those would make my top 4 things of Auburn, right? So I think of the Auburn Creed. I think of Sanford Hall, and I want to say the colors. I don't know if I love that. And then I'm gonna throw another one at you that's pretty maybe out there, but it's always been one of my favorite things. And I've thought about on construction sites in Auburn before, just, taking one off the side. The Auburn bricks are something I think of Auburn because it is a unique part of Auburn. That color brick is the same, consistent throughout campus and beautiful.
Yeah.
and it's what I think of. I think of when I see Auburn brick on campus. I know I'm on campus, and I know that these are the buildings that are going to shape leaders. And so I'm going with the Creed, Sanford Hall. What did I say? The colors,
I guess.
the colors, and Auburn bricks.
So no people, no like physical living things at all in that so far.
You could swap out Obby for the colors.
Okay, because
that'd
he's
be
a
my
real
only
type.
living. Correct.
Yeah, I hate you so much for taking so many of mine. To be honest with you, this is what's frustrating about being friends with you. We think so much alike. I will cheat in. Okay, you know what? I'll be fair and not take the ones that you did, even though you took all the good ones. Okay,
that's impressive.
I'm gonna
You
say
did let me go first.
I did. That's my fault. I should know better that you were going to take all the things that I wanted. I'm going to say, I'm going to say George Petrie. I think because that wraps the Creed into it as well. I'm going to take Toomer's Lemonade, the original, like just the lemonade, not even the drugstore, just the lemonade. That's all it is on one of the presidents on Mount Rushmore.
Okay. I'm
going to take, even though it's going to be wild, just because it can encompass so much outside of Auburn, I'm going to take Tim Cook.
Okay.
I'm going to just, I know it's wild. I'm just going to throw it out there.
All right.
Look, he's affecting the world. And so
sure,
I think that's something to go as well. And then I think I will take one of our traditions, Tiger Walk. I think that no, I changed it. The Eagle Flight. That's it. That's
I like it.
That's
Eagle is a big one. That is a big one that I did think about when you brought up living items. But Bobby's also a living item and he's a real tiger. So
he's a real tiger. We all know that. Don't argue with us.
He's not like those other tigers.